Well, we got a whole lot of people in here today. I'm waiting for my screen to pop up and recognize that I'm on live so I don't have to grab my iPad and fix it so I can see you guys' comments. I see Marjorie's here. Marjorie's here. Kathleen Mefford's here. Sparkle's in the house. Audra's here. I see Jennifer B., Kathleen Mefford, uh, Marjorie Barnes. Yes, I've already mentioned your name. So there's 10 waiting. I'm also mixing some epoxy. So today we're going to try to finish off where we left off. I'm going to try to do two things. And it's a good thing it's a Friday because Fridays I can get away with a little bit more time. And I am mixing some epoxy. So when we left off on Tuesday, we were working with a peach and try to make a peach. And, you know, I had a lot of thought afterwards. I know that when I'm on my lab table and I have to get those delicate nuances, I'm not making a little itty bitty tiny batch. Sometimes I have to make a 6 or 8 cup batch. Most of the time I can make just a really small 1 or 2 ounce batch because, you know, I have my magic little spoons and I also have my little syringes that will level stuff very accurately. But there are times when you want to get that fine nuance of that beautiful pinky peach. And I might have to make a really big batch just to get a recipe to the lab for them to make the 5 gallons, right? Because they're obviously working in much bigger batches than me. So I had some thoughts about the peach. We're going to revisit that. And then it'll probably explain why I put my papaya in the set anyway. I went ahead and made my papaya a really pretty coral that kind of straddles the coral that can go more orange, or the coral, as soon as you add interference violet to it, it turns into a beautiful peachy pink. Look who just joined us. Normally that's Jasmine, but for some reason Harley, I'm a little worried because he doesn't normally stay there. He gets curious and then bounces off. And we definitely don't want him traipsing on this table while we're playing with epoxy. Wish he'd just settle down and go to sleep there, but hey, John. Hey, everybody. So John, I got Harley on the back of the chair. How long he's going to sit there, I don't know. Until Jasmine comes in and tries to kick him off. Yeah, he doesn't like to be picked up unless it's his idea, though. Where I don't think either one of them do. I didn't pick them enough as babies, and yet they stayed in my bedroom for months when they were first here, and so they completely imprinted on me. Hey, Sally. So we got Sally Dalton here. Opal's here. John N is here. And by the way, I keep pronouncing your last name wrong, John. I am so sorry. I went to look it up because I was making your card. Okay, he is off. Let's make him uncomfortable about coming back and see everybody. See everybody. We know you don't want me to hold you, so go away. Come on. We got stuff to do. Thank you very much. He was getting a little too close. So, anyway, John, I'm so sorry. I think I've been pronouncing your name wrong on the lives, unless I'm just calling you John N. Oh, you have a cat named Merlin? He's of such, isn't he such a beautiful boy? He's a beautiful boy. So, God, I need to get, I have him, I just have to find him. I think I'm going to start wearing one of those medical masks, you know, the doctors wore during COVID when I'm mixing, because I know I need to have some way to protect myself from these bubbles that are popping up. Okay, we're going to put the epoxy on the back end so we don't accidentally knock it over. So give me 1 second. I'm going to pour half of this off so it doesn't seize up, and then get my cups lined up. Because we didn't really do epoxy on Tuesday like we normally do. We've been going down the color mixing road, and let me tell you, I could do that every single day, 3 days a week, and we probably still wouldn't cover everything, but I feel like I need to give you some color mixing and then some play time and then color mixing and kind of break it up. So my table's set up for both. We're going to see how this works. Take care of yourself. Who's leaving? Yeah, you can see the bubbles. Yeah, I know. And everybody says that, but you are correct. Safety first, good ventilations first. Matter of fact, I was talking to Saskia about some new material she's playing with. You guys need to go by her channel. I don't know if she's posted the video yet. There's some kind of tar paint. There she is. Saskia is here. There's some kind of tar paint she's experimenting with. And boy, when she puts these different additives on it, these gorgeous nickel quinacridine gold colors are bleeding out. And then she sprays it with, I'm forgetting, water, and suddenly it beads up and creates. She's working on some cool technique that I cannot wait for you guys to see. I saw her artwork this morning and it was amazing. But we talked a little bit about this peach issue and the mixing issue, and you know, she reminded me of using the Vivid Intense sometimes when I need to go just a little bit up in color, because when we're doing color mixing, a lot of people ask me, how is this viable now that this is out? Okay, benchmark. This has 3 mils of color per ounce. So in a 4-ounce bottle, there's 12 mils of color. This is 26 and 30 mils. It is pure archival color. So there are times, like I said last Tuesday, I was fighting to get the nuance of the peachy pink in my little water well, and the receptacle was so small, and trying to do it with just Purely Pigments wasn't working at all. But we'll make a pretty peach for our resin piece today. So I got my table set up a little bit differently. The front is all these little bottles we're gonna mix from, but the back end already has some plastic and a board down, and let's hope this works. So let's get started, you guys. I wanna revisit the, and I don't know if I wanna do it in a big cup or the receptacle, because this is, yes, they're color fast and archival. And that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to introduce that into the resin market, right? Okay, so I could mix it in here, but then we're gonna end up transferring it in here, okay? Morning, Hope. By the way, Hope was on the phone with me the other day when I got sick to my stomach. I don't know what happened, but I suddenly got sick. Hope, I am so sorry I had to get off the phone with you so quickly, honey. My apologies. I did not mean to do that to you. So your timing is perfect. Okay, so to make a peach, yes, it's in the orange family. In the primary elements, the quickest way to get to, it's in the orange family, but if you start with a pink and add a touch of yellow, you will quickly get to the peach, whether you want it to be a coral or a pinky peach. Now, why am I discussing this color so much? Because peach is a very powerful transition color. It can transition from a purple to an orange. It can transition, like turquoise can transition from a lime green to a purple if you put the turquoise in the middle. So the same thing with the peaches. And it's not a color that's common that you see on the color wheel very much. So jasmine shares the same color base is the dancing fuchsia. So I did it with magenta last time, okay? And we're gonna try a little bit of both, but we're gonna use Vivid Intense Yellow because the saturation in this is much less than this, and we should be able to get to that pinky peach. Now, the other trick is adding interference violet. As soon as we get to a gorgeous interference violet, okay, your peach is gonna go, whoa, and it'll be singing with this beautiful peachy color. So I'm gonna try, just to get started with here, and we're now looking at another way to do the drop in these little tests is actually just kiss it on the well and not necessarily wait for a whole big bang and drop to fall out. So I know I have two with the dancing fuchsia here. One has less, one has more. Just so we're keeping track of what we're doing. Sorry, I'm looking for a Sharpie. I know this is going to be the dancing fuchsia area, and this is going to be the magenta. So I just kind of want to show the variations of using a magenta versus the fuchsia. Now, again, I'm going to try to do the little, I want a whole drop of this, but if I was putting in the yellow, mellow yellow from the Purely Pigment line, I would be doing the dot. But you can even see in the well, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, this looks a little bit more red. This almost looks a little bit more purpley pink. But instead of going right to the mellow yellow, which I think was a mistake, again, it's not that accurate. It's not like we have a syringe that you can measure 1/10 of a mil on, like I can on my lab table, but I'm going to try to just put one drop on the side so you can see how much I put in there, and each one of these, and see if this is just the right amount of yellow. My favorite peach has a pink tone to it. I don't really care for, not that I won't make them, but I don't seem to gravitate to the colors that are the orangey coral. See, this is still going to want to give us, because that rhodamine's pretty strong. It's going to give us an orangey coral. And yet, if I scooped all this out into my cup, little bit of varnish here, starting with the varnish, because I know if I just mix it in varnish, it's going to be compatible with resin or acrylic. So if I mix with the varnish, okay, it's still got an awful lot of that rhodamine in there, right? So how much, I probably should have done it this way to begin with, but I was really worried about this big old cup. I'm going to add just a tiny bit of another bit. Remember, this is not as concentrated as this. There's a reason why I'm using this. And yeah, Gilsonia varnish is just it's a good way for me to mix on camera, for you to get a better idea of true color. Okay, it's trying to give us a coral already. All right. I'm going to pink it up, because as soon as you add interference violet, there's not much in the cup to hold that little thing, right? As soon as I add the interference violet, what's the gray? Yeah, this is the gloss, but either one, I use matte, I use gloss, I use both. I really love the Gilsonia brand, or the triple thick varnish from Rust-Oleum are like my two faves. Or, okay, you guys are talking varnish? It's the most expensive varnish on the market, I know. And to me, it's liquid gold. It's called Bright Tone. I put this in a bottle and I can puddle it into an area. It dries flat and levels like varnish. So for people who are trying to get the look of a varnish, but they feel like they're allergic to it, that stuff is the bomb. But it is $128 a gallon. It is not cheap at all. Okay, so I've got some of my interference in here. Now, because I'm playing with epoxy today, I shouldn't have put my paintbrush in here. I'm going to add just a tiny bit more varnish and try to get this color off my brush. I need to get another mixing implement here. So far this has one drop of the Dancing Fuchsia, has one drop of, or two drops of Vivid Intense Hansa Yellow Light. It made this really pretty peachy pink. And let me put this in my water receptacle. Get this brush safe area. And then, I mean, I did all this exercise here, but we're gonna get almost the same results. Then if I put it in acrylic or a resin, you have to go with me here. Now the acrylic, it's not gonna be quite as sparkly because you know, the acrylic may dry clear, but it looks kind of milky when it's first mixed in, but look at that color. Now that to me was the peach I was trying to get on Tuesday when we were playing. Now I can make it more sparkly. I can add more bling to it, which I think I am. We're gonna use this on this piece today. So I'm gonna go all in and add some sparkle violet. For those of you that don't know the difference between the sparkles, this is the regular interference. It gives you a light shift, gives you actually a strong shift. This is the sparkle. You can see one is bigger flakes. And then the diamond is even bigger, give you more bling bling. So you got your choice of how much sparkle and bling you want in your stuff when you're making. Yeah, I'm gonna put the diamond in here. Let's add a little diamond into this, make it really bling. Ha! It really does look, well, to me, that's actually what the center of a watermelon looks like, is that beautiful peachy pink, right? That's what watermelon looks like. Matter of fact, we have a color called watermelon mist, girl. So you're dead on saying it looks like watermelon. Sparkle, cotton candy. Well, is your cotton candy pinky or peach? John? Hey, Sherry. How you doing, honey? Okay. So if we get this in the camera and we go nice and slowly back and forth, we can see the nuances of that. I think I want a little bit more for my board. I'm just gonna need enough to go across one pass. So, I like the color I made though so far. So do I do the same thing, try to get these colors in here, or I'm gonna do what you'd probably have to do on your table at home, okay? Let's say you wanted to make more. Add another drop, because it was only one full drop of that in there, right? And we added 2 small drops of the Vivid Intense Yellow because it's a lot less saturation. It's going to give us that color we want to. Yeah, I want to make enough to use it for our project. Just a little bit more. Might make it feel a little bit more saturated, but that's okay. See, I still have that color. I still got that pretty watermelon, and I made more of it. So those of you guys that are keeping track, it was 1 drop of the Dancing Fuchsia and 2 drops of the Vivid Intense Hansa Yellow Light. And that's how I made this color. This is going on the back table because it's got resin. I don't want to knock this stuff over. I also want to revisit when we were making wine colors. But I have to apologize in advance. I've been looking all over the place this morning. I cannot find my phthalo blue red shade in the Vivid Intense. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to get the phthalo blue red shade in my resin and still get a wine. So might be a little bit of a challenge, but we're gonna try that, okay? Because I do need a wine color for my piece. At least I think I do today. And I remember I'm sort of revisiting my reaction when I first played with the, this is that magenta, let's put that over here. When I was first playing with this holly berry, oh, by the way, before we get done with that one little part, if you don't feel like making your own coral, there is a reason why I put the My Papaya in the first set. I made you a coral that kind of sits in the center, add a little yellow. You can go more corally orange, add a little pink or interference violet to this. This is going to give you that beautiful color. Yes, it was interference violet, Sparkle. You are correct. Interference violet was what I used. I'm glad we got people taking notes here. Okay. So just so you know, you can always jump to My Papaya and not have to make it yourself. But I want you guys to have the tools to make it. If you're sitting working with a couple different acrylic paints and go, oh, I really want to make a peach. How did Leslie do that? Pink and yellow. You betcha, sweetheart. Okay, so we're just going to jump right in. I want to make a red wine. Now, granted, okay, there is a color in the second set, which is, oh, I don't have the bottle here with the name on it. It's a red violet color. The name is escaping me because I just have red violet in the bottom of a bottle. These were my samples I made on my table. So making a wine, you might start here. But what if you didn't have that color? Okay, what if you had a red and wanted to make a wine? And I remember the first day playing with this, I said, darn, that looks so orange in the bottle. But what really excited me was how beautiful the holly berry mixed up in the epoxy. And reds are hard to get anyway, good reds. So I think I went with 1, 2, 3. That was 1, 2, 3, almost 4. Because I know in the video I added 6 drops. I think that's 7 in there right now. I added 6. I rewatched my video to make sure what I had done. And I'm just going to jump right to that. Now, the risk is I could not find my phthalo blue red shade in my Vivid Intense. Wow. Oh, wow, guys. Red much? Wow. I don't even say, I think we went even past where there's, we'll see how much transparency would be on here if I want to do a skim coat. Yeah, if I was going to do a skim coat, I could still get some transparency, but that's a lot of saturation in that. Okay, so then the question is, what kind of mica are we going to put in a wine? Now, last time I used the Crimson Lust, which is it's a metallic color that sits on the surface like a big old mirror, and it's going to kind of dominate things. Now, when you're working with reds, if you put gold in this, it's going to turn it orange. If you put interference red in this, it will sort of turn it pink. If I'm going to go wine, I could go blue again, or I could go violet, okay? But let's get the color base in there first before we decide how we're going to bling this up, okay? So I'm going to, again, I'm really freaking out that I can't find my phthalo blue red shade Vivid Intense bottle because I know this is really concentrated. Yeah, I am going to go violet on the wine. So another way to get just a little bit in, right? Here's another little trick. Of course, I don't really want to touch the stick resin to that. So we're going to cheat and pretend I have a clean end of the stick, right? And then if I want to, I can just put 1 dot of color on that stick. It's not a full drop, right? So I'm going to try it that way. Because when I was using the Vivid Intense, it took a lot to get it to a, look at that. Oh my God, that went to a really deep, bricky red wine immediately. Just that one little drop. And look what happened. It's not even all the way off the stick yet. You can still see that little dot on the stick. It tells you how strong this stuff is. I am going to go violet on this because I do happen to like what it does. Now, it will make it lighter. Once you add your mica, it is going to lift up the colors. But, wow, you could... Now, here's a little bit of the sparkle, the larger flake. And then here's some of the... Interference Ultra Fine Flake. Let me get this bottle closed or I'm going to dump it over. That's my OCD thing. This may not be enough to sparkle it up, but it's certainly going to help. Now, be careful when you're folding in your bling it because the powders are going to want to poof up. Wow. Now look at that. Look what we just made. We made a gorgeous pomegranate color. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. I hope it's enough. Again, I'm worried that I'm not making these enough in there. Of course, I always end up with extra epoxy, but I'd rather have a little bit more than not enough in the cup when we do this little board. It's only a 12 by 12, but I want to. Perfect for your nebula. Yeah, this is a good color. See what that violet did? I mean, it completely changed it. And yet you still have that deep wine color, right? That beautiful wine. Okay, let's get this off the table, out of the way. I'm now looking at my peach and I still don't think I have enough peach made. There's not as, I want equal amount. So here I'm farting around with my peach again. But when we go to use this on the board, let's add a little tiny bit more bling to this. Bling, bling. That's why we called it Bling It, guys. Bling It. It's our mineral line. Let's add a little bling. Using Bling It. That's going to be a really sparkly, pinky, peachy coral. Okay, so I want a turquoise too. You know, I was going to try to do a wine red, and I don't think I want to do a brick red. I don't think it's going to go with my little color palette we got going on here. We got peach. Turquoise would be beautiful with that. Now, I'm going to use the phthalo green. I know that Vibrant Aqua is already something we have made, but if I needed to make it from scratch, I would use, remember the phthalo green is super, super intense, right? It's really strong. So we're going to add that in last. We'll add some, that's red shade. Where's my green shade? I need my green shade blue. Here we go. Here's my green shade blue. Violet green. See, with the epoxy, it's so much easier to see when you're mixing than in that palette, right? It just is, whether it's acrylic or whatever, but epoxy just, and varnish shows the true color off. When you're working with acrylic medium, it's kind of deceiving. You're not really getting that pure color you deserve, right? It's your color. So let's start same way as we did with the wine we just made, okay? Other than I don't know if I'm going to go 6 drops, but I will start with, I had 7 in there, though. I'm going to start with 3 phthalo blue green shade. Now, just to be safe, to make sure we're not overdoing it, I'm going to do the same little tip, because this is not going to be a full drop on this stick, right? Other than I can't get these darn things open. I'm sure you guys go through the same thing. That's the only challenge of the eyedroppers, opening and closing them. But I'm going to rub just a little bit of the green on here, because I think that's all it needs. And so I'm going to set this aside for a sec. Azure blue. Okay, yes, azure blue could work with the peacock to get a turquoise, but azure blue is pure phthalo blue. Phthalo blue green shade is going to push it a little bit more towards the turquoise. But yes, your azure blue and even your oriental blue, you know, you're mixing blue and green together. You're going to eventually get to turquoise, sweetheart. Janelle had asked if she could add their azure blue and use the phthalo green, the peacock color to do it. And absolutely. Okay, so here's just the phthalo blue green shade. 3 drops, pretty darn strong. But there's still some transparency in that one. I can still see the transparency on the stick. Let's get this thing mixed up really well. Yes, it's strong. It's the whole thing about the purely pigments. They are strong. You are getting your money's worth on color. Okay, you may not even see much of a difference when I add this in at this point. I do want to go with green mica, so I don't want you thinking the green mica is pulling the green. So I am going to go ahead and put this in. See if this helps gets us to the turquoise that we're looking for. Now, when you're making turquoise, is it going to be a blue green or a green blue, right? Think about what we're trying to achieve. Try to get all that color off that stick right there, that little bit that stained it. It's kind of hard to tell in this particular pot. Now, I think for the fun of it, I don't really want to separate this out, but I'm gonna. Okay, and I'll try to use a smaller amount. But it would be fun for you to see what happens with, if I was to put this in green, or if I was to put this in blue. It's not quite half. I'm going to try to split this up. Now I can mix them together and then make a color that's got both blue and green in it, but I want you to see for yourself what happens when you add the mica. Okay, so we're going to add, let's be accurate, because this is probably about an ounce, not quite an ounce in there. We're doing smaller pots, so let's do a 1/16 of a teaspoon. That's what I'm going to use on here. So I'm going to put the green in this first one, and I'm going to put the blue in this one. And yes, the interference is going to pull it into one direction or another, but we may still add another drop of the peacock in here, depending upon what we're looking for. So, oops. See what I mean by not stirring so fast? Still not green enough for me. I want more of a green turquoise, even though the interference green is helping to pull it in that direction. But we're getting almost a nice cerulean sea color, right? And then this is the same mixture we made with the blue. And the blue is going to take it in a completely different direction. If we had added violet, it would look completely different as well. Look at this. Okay, look what's happening here. Look at that beautiful blue we just made. The interference blue took over, and there's not enough of the peacock in either one of these to really, oh my God, he's back. Harley, get off now. I'm not going to fool around with you, buddy. You got to let me do my deal, please. Please let me do my deal. He's up here trying to cause havoc again. I know. Harley's a badass. Sorry for badass. He's Mr. Badass. So anyway, but now there's your phthalo blue green shade with just that little itty bitty bitty of the peacock in it. There was that phthalo blue green shade with the peacock in it and the green. They look completely different. So to then keep pushing our peacock color, keep trying to find sticks that I can maybe break it off and do a little bit of this green to it. Again, you're going to be making larger batches than me. Now, because I really wanted this particular one to look really turquoise, I'm going to mix that in there. Kind of get this off. And then take this little one that's just got that phthalo green in there. There we go. Now we're getting more turquoise. Look at that. And all it was like part of a drop. I don't know about everybody else, but you don't need to apologize to me for. Yeah, I know, but I'm on camera and you never know who's coming by. So I try really hard to keep it a little clean. Got to, but thank you for saying that. I appreciate it, honey. All right. So I kind of like both these colors. I guess I can use them for separate veins in my piece. I was just going to try to make one aqua, but I thought you should know how to make your own aqua from scratch, right? Yeah, you love it. Okay, well, it's not very much made. And this little 12 by 12 board isn't going to be able to handle that much color. I didn't really need this much turquoise, but let's see what it does and how it works. By the way, my friend Michelle said that when she sees me play with resin on the camera, my voice goes up a couple decibels, and you can tell how nervous I am because epoxy's still kind of a new thing for me. And as soon as I see all that negative space, I get really flustered. All right, so we got these two colors. We've done these turquoises. Now, so we got a peach, we got a wine, I got a couple turquoises. What am I missing? Let's do a purple. You know, you guys haven't really seen me play with black plum very much. Okay, so there's the peacock. What did John just say? Oh, that left one. Yeah, that green is mind-blowing, I will say. All right, so let's see, black plum I had out. I got to get it back out here again. Give me a second. I had it all ready to work with you guys. I want to play with some black plum. Now, our black plum, I find, I'll show you, this color is diazazine violet. And I've always felt like diazazine violet is kind of on the blue side of things. It's not necessarily a clean purple like your Snapdragon. This color's like a clean purple. This color's always, well, I take that back. The way that just spritzed out, it's still that's a really pretty purple. Okay. So let's see what we can do with this purple, but I am going to use some mixing white. I'm not, actually, I haven't been playing with resin for years. I only developed the resin art in 2018. I did a few projects and some tile tests, and then I just kind of hiding in the background, running the lab and running the company. And thank you for the confidence, John, but I am much more color with watercoloring and acrylic than I am with epoxy, but hey, why not? All right, so let's do the black plum because you guys have hardly even seen me play with black plum. And by the way, it is the most expensive color to make in any of the collections. That color base is triple. So when you see companies charge more for red violet or the diazazine violet, that's right. That's why, because the base is really, really pricey to make. It just is. Well, thank you, honey. I am going to do more of my opal drops because I was trying to find a big tile to do that today, and I couldn't find the tiles, so I went out and got that 12 by 12 board that's got that hard cover to it that you can resin on. Okay, so let's start with resin, probably about an ounce. Let's see what one drop of black plum does, and when you get it in the bottle, That's why I called it black plum, because it looks black in the bottle, yet it's got a weird green tint when you're turning it. And that's just, I think that's just the processing of the color. It's how it comes. Look at that. And it's a pretty color, but it looks like it needs something. And mixing white has no titanium in it. It's actually called invisible blue, but most people wouldn't understand what that is. So that's why we commonly term it mixing white. I'm going to add 3 drops. So if anybody's keeping track, it was 1 black plum and 3 of the mixing white. Now it's not going to lighten it as much as you think. It's just going to bring it up a tone, right? It's not going to it's not like putting titanium dioxide in it. Now, I think it leans towards a blue myself, but for the fun of it, I'm going to use interference blue and some of that sparkle violet, since I got it right here on my table. That'll make this kind of fun and interesting. Watch what happens as soon as we add the interference. Now we'll start with the interference blue. Oh, cool. Oh, you mean the mix? What's Magic Pour, Kathleen? She said she used it in Magic Pour. I'm not familiar with what Magic Pour is. That completely changed. You want to know why? There's not that much purple saturation in there. Look what that blue did. Look what the interference blue did to that. I want a little more purple. I know, it's pretty. Just a tint, you get a lot of shift. The more color you add, the less shift you're going to get. So John's right. That color is really shifty with only 1 drop of the black plum in there. But we're experimenting. We're trying to push here to see how much purple we can get away with. Yes, you can. We tested it the other day. Put in a food grade watercolor. I forget which video. I think it was in the Twinkling H2O video. I made a little watercolor out of the pure magenta, if you want to go back and watch that, honey. It was just a test. Because it's pure color, yes, there's absolutely no reason why it will not work. Okay. Now, because we're using the blue, and this is going such an extreme shifty blue, I'm going to go ahead and do another black plum. I like purple. With the interference violet, because we need to see the difference. Now I added 2 to this, so to be fair, keep it the same color saturation. We want to be fair. I might add the mixing white, I might not. Get that purple in there, get all mixed up in the resin, give it a chance to completely mix in, to get all your sides and everything mixed in. Now, watch what happens. I mean, the people that watch the interference video, bending the light video, they really got to see firsthand what I meant by how it bends the light, because it does. The interference alters, it creates light refraction. And so what happens is it hits the base, it refracts back at your eye, and it's shifting and changing the way you see the color before you see the color beneath it. That's the beauty of the interference. It interferes with the light and changes the way you see the color. So we mix this in interference violet. Now that looks almost like that Snapdragon, doesn't it? It's hard to believe that both of these started with black plum. And that's how much your interferences affect it, right? I'm just still blown away by this, and I've been doing this 28 years. Every single time I see this happen, I'm riveted. I don't know what it is. about color mixing and light. Obviously, that's why I do this for a living. Yeah, they are gorgeous. They really are. I'm going to put just a little sparkle in that one. And might as well go all in on the blue since we're really pushing the blue on that other one. Let's see if I can find it. Here, I'll put a little blue diamond in this one. Just so we're kind of on the same theme. They all have, the only thing this one on the left doesn't have is the mixing white. And I like the color the way it is. I don't think I need to lift it up anymore. But for the piece I want to do, the turquoises I made, to be honest, are a little too dark. I went back and looked at one of my videos where I did the opal drops, and I had a turquoise to a brick to a red. And so I thought I could simulate that. So you guys are going to think I'm a little nuts for doing this, but after thinking about my color scheme, these are way too dark for what I want to do. So if you were in that situation, what would you be doing? Well, they are gorgeous. I think what I'm going to do, shit, I don't know. Oops, I said the S word. Oops. I can't figure out what I want to do because I'm loving all these colors. You know what I'm missing? I'm missing that beautiful light teal. I'm just going to go ahead. We know that the Vivid Intense, I could put some of this in it, or I could go right to the, I can't find it on my back table. We have a color called Cobalt Teal. That would be absolutely perfect for it, but I don't see it on my table. So I'm actually going to mix some of this up, quite a bit of it, because it gave us a beautiful effect on there. So before we get any further, my table's kind of getting crowded. So what I'm going to do is pull these off. I don't need these bottles anymore. Oh, yeah, the S word. I find that we use it everywhere. It's just like, you know, oh, fiddlesticks. We use it like our parents used to say, fiddlesticks. You know, there's still, and then a friend of mine that worked for me said, you know, you can figure out more intelligent words to use besides the colorful language. And I'm bowing my head going, yes, ma'am. She's right. Okay. Okay, so let's get these bottles off. Let's get these bottles off the table. I got to figure out where I'm going to put everything. I'm getting crowded here. Bear with me. I knew when I got to this transition it'd be a little bit different because normally my set is set up for one thing. You don't normally see me rip off the paper, go all plastic, and suddenly I'm doing a resin piece. But today I didn't want to just do color mixing. I think I've covered that enough for you guys. Now let me ask a question to the room. Couple questions and some announcements. So, do you like this color mixing? And don't just say yes. Would you like to see more of this as part of your video content? Because sometimes I'll get 100% into it and then the entire video is about mixing colors. Heck yes, is Catherine Mefford. All I see is Hope laughing at me or laughing at somebody. Because we want to give you guys what you need, the content that you need. To me, I think the color theory stuff would eventually go to the private lives, but I want to make sure that I've got enough content on the public to help our brand new users. So I don't want to leave anybody behind when we start doing these private lives. And of course, while this is sitting here, I'm going to do a bit of news. Just get me right back to you guys. You've learned a lot. Thank you, Connie. I mean, that's kind of the point of this. I was thinking, what can let me go back to you guys for a second. For me, when I'm sitting here thinking about what do I bring to the table? What can I offer? What gift can I give? And I mean, I've been making color for 28 years for this company, besides being a chronic craftaholic my entire life. So it's easy to go right into that mode. And years ago, I wrote a little book called The Colors of Radiance. And there's been a lot of discussion of me recording, doing auto recording what's in that book, trying to do some kind of photo or video content that supports it, and then expand on it. Because 20 years ago, that was my thought on common denominators, color mixing. I was trying really hard to put it in terms that the everyday tuna casserole user could understand. Because for me, when my teacher said value and hue, I might as well have been in a Peanuts cartoon hearing Lucy go wah, 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 wah in my ear. I mean, I stopped listening to what they said. And yet, had they said value, like how dark it is, it's light and dark, or hue, is it a yellow green, or is it a little bit more yellow in the yellow green, or a little bit more green in the green? I mean, that's what they mean by hue. But those are the technical terms, and you know, the people taking courses in class, they need to memorize that. And yet, when I wrote this little book, I just was trying really hard to simplify it for those ladies that I used to give these big workshops, and I'd say, okay, does everybody know the color wheel? And there would be 4 or 5 people doing, yes, arms crossed. Of course I knew the color wheel. But the rest of the women in the room looked like doe in the headlights. Like it was something they were supposed to learn in kindergarten or first grade, and somehow they didn't get it, or they felt too dumb to get it. And they would come up in little groups asking me to explain it to them. Now, as we go into more of these classes, I'll be talking about two-tone colors like a yellow-green or a yellow-orange and try to find the complement. So if you want a little homework from me, just like you practiced your multiplication tables, you need to practice primary, yellow, red, and blue. I think I still have that little chart here, even though we only painted in the green. But we've got the primary, the yellow, red, and blue. Secondary, colors mixed from those 3. Then you want to start memorizing and memorize those like your multiplication tables. And then memorize your complements. Yellow and red makes orange. Those 2 primaries were used to make the orange. The complement to that is blue. Memorize that. And eventually you will, because I'll be doing pop quiz and say, okay, what's a complementary color to a red violet? And what is a complementary to red violet group? Does anybody know what the complementary to the red violet? Just break it down in simple terms. What's a complementary color to red? And what's a complementary color to violet? And you will discover your complementary to red violet. But instead of twisting our heads around and trying to sort it out, eventually it just comes normal like your multiplication tables. Thank you so much, Sharon McCabe. I really appreciate it, honey. And then a little bit of business, the part about the business going on. The Stock Up 40 is winding down sometime Saturday night, Sunday morning. You're going to see it's fall off. Now, we're doing the membership drive. And by the way, thank you for all of the members that were in here that already bought into the founding membership of the Art of Club membership. What we're doing is we're offering $500 gift card at 41% off for $295, and you spend $295, you get a $500 card to go shopping with us. There's another card for $750, and it's for something, for something, and then the one for $1,000 is five something. We're doing this to raise capital because we're trying to get our refinance, reorganize our warehouse, and bring back the twinks. All of the founding members will get all the perks. I don't care what level you buy in. And the cards go 41, 42, 43% off. There is a card for 50% off. Okay. Now, after Stock Up 40 goes, we're going to, I know, Catherine, I wish I could too. Believe me. We're going to be dropping that code to 20, the normal code to 20 after Stock Up 40 is gone. But watch, right around the first of the month, and we're done with our funding drive, that's it. The everyday code's going to be 5%. You might get lucky if you see 10. Now, what we're figuring out is a way to do this membership program so everybody can participate. I've had people on fixed income or a mother of three reached out to me, offered to do some kind of business work for me, help me with my business, because she can probably afford, $9.99 a month or $19.99 a month. She can't afford to buy in on a card like that. So we're going to try to work this out to where everybody gets a chance to jump in at some level. Yes, the top tiers will be for the people that are buying in. And then we're looking for software. There has to be a software that begins to accumulate your purchases once you become a member, so you can grow your membership to a higher tier. And we're looking at, hey, Evie, we're nice to see you, sweetheart. So we are looking into the software to do that for us. So I don't want people feeling, because at this point, like that lady that's a woman of three, a mother of three, she says, I can't afford a card right now, something smaller. Maybe we need to do, maybe the last week of the drive, we do some kind of, $300 card with a low buy-in somewhere, or like I said, we'll eventually have some kind of monthly thing, because the goal of the membership of the club is not to leave anybody out. It's to reward the people that have been purchasing and supporting us all along, and it's a give and take, like the sampling program, special member discounts, more of these color tutorials, but some of them should be private. This is a lot of information doing color mixing, and it's going to get deeper and deeper. And I've already had a couple people on my butt telling me that I need to figure out how to make an income on this thing. I said, well, it'll come, right? But, like the Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. So there's your bit of business. The Stock Up 40 is winding down Saturday night, Sunday morning, and then it'll go back to 20. And then we've got about another 2 weeks where you'll see the 20% code, and then all of a sudden it's just going to change. And hopefully by that time, we'll have a regular member program set up, so when the change happens, people will know exactly where to go. So the regular color art purchasers, the team color art, can survive. Oh, one other thing, and Kathleen McGee wanted me to mention this. The Art of Color Facebook group is doing really well. We had quite a few members join in. Make sure you join the Art of Color group if you want to. It's a safe space. We're small and mighty. There's a whole bunch of people sharing their art. And then I've also set up the Art of Color Club group. Now, I've been trying to find a few of you on here that have already got your cards. I'm probably going to have to reach out to you directly or send you an email. Thank you, Catherine Mefford. Yeah, I've seen your work. It's beautiful. Catherine Mefford's been posting in that Art of Color Club, the Art of Color. Well, then we just have to let you in, Jennifer B. Make sure that Kathleen McGee is in this feed. Reach out to her and let her know you want in. We'll let you in. And then the club, we decided to do a club group. So maybe we can do some live Q&As. Maybe I could bring in a guest artist to answer some questions for you guys. So we're trying our very best to give everybody on every level what they need so you can be part of the color art family. All right. So now I've been wasting too much time talking about this. Now I have to face down my resin piece that John says I'll be fine on. All right. So I'm going to mix up this Titan teal, and then I'm going to have to move a couple things off because I need to rip this paper down and get down to the plastic that I have set up underneath it. All right, now, oh, you're welcome, sweetheart. You guys. And Catherine, you said you wish you could buy more, but you already bought a card. John got a card. I know McGee's got a card. Marjorie Barnes has her card already. Sherry Ellis has her card. We have a nice group of founding members. If I had to guess, that's probably, doesn't look like quite a quarter teaspoon in here. I'm going to make a lot of this because I like that color. When I was doing that board last time, I fell in love with this color. So let's get a little more resin in that. Just a little bit, not a lot. Okay. I'm in love with this color. It is so pretty on that board. Let's get a little bit more resin in here. I learned something called a skim coat. So John, here you say I've been doing it for years, and I learned a brand new term the other day. It's called a skim coat. And I was reading up why artists fill their boards up with color right away. One artist said that he feels that white space is too confusing, and people who struggle with negative space, which is me, okay, that he likes to cover his board up with like a mid-range nickel as a gold to start with. And then some other artists do like to start with mid-range colors because they feel they can go darker or lighter when they're doing it. But I thought it was really interesting for those of us that struggle with negative space. Fairy Art Mother's here. Woohoo! Hey, Judy. How you doing, honey? So funny. Everybody knows who Fairy Art Mother is now. She's got quite the reputation. Of course, you have a great handle. Okay, so I'm going to rip off this paper or gently lift it up. Dang it, I taped it down too well. There we go. That way we're all plastic. So if I make a messy, it's not going on my table and it's not going to stick anything. Okay, now one thing I was commented on by Saskia, try to get the camera up and over. I think she's right. Once I'm going to mix up some interferences here so I can make my opal drops. And then after I mix them up, I'm going to pull the camera up and over and try to give you guys a bird's eye view on this as I'm doing it, okay? So we got our peach, we got our wine, we got our brick, we got our turquoises that we custom made. And let's get some interferences mixed up. Now for the opal drops, because I actually have a couple colors that I call the opal colors, I'm going to, I feel weird with this. My normal silicone rolls, they didn't show up, the stuff I reordered. Has your weather warmed up, Judy? Evie's asking you. She's in Texas, baby. Woohoo! Texas. They have some of the most beautiful flowers, but really fantastic thunderstorms, if you like thunderstorms. They got great thunderstorms there. All right, let's get a little bit of... I keep forgetting I don't need that much for these drops. I just need a little bit. because that little bit goes a long way with doing my opal drops. And if you guys have never seen me do this, this cup looks like it's got 2 cups together. I might have enough in there for 2. I will do this technique after the resin is down and start creating these droplets. And okay, so for the blue, I'm going to use some of this color called Angel Wings, which immediately to me has an opal effect blue to it. I'm going to get my 1/16 of a teaspoon. And I'm going to add, now, why we're calling this opal. I wish I had my minerals out. The mineral that this is mixed on, you're not going to see it on my skin, sadly. See how it looks like it's got a gray cast to it in the bottle? That's the actual color of the mineral. So this is actually not mica. It's another kind of mineral. When they put the coating on it, in my humble opinion, creates kind of an opal cast. So if you see me talking about opals, you'll know what I'm talking about. I can spread it a little bit further by adding some interference blue in that, right? So make it go a little bit further. Same thing with the green. We have a beautiful color. This is called Rain. Oops. Got a little messy there. This is that Rain. Let add some of that interference green to the Rain. So I'm going to put the opal colors in 2 of these. So we've got Rain and the Angel Wings, right? Then let's do some of the, I think I'm going to add a little more eye blue to this. I used 2 scoops in the other one. I want to keep consistent here. My little opal-y drops. So let's put some more interference blue in this one. That way we're equal all the way down the line. Okay. Now the last is going to be my gold and my violet. Now in the gold, I'm going to go ahead and use both large and fine particulate, and the same thing with the violet. I'm going to use the sparkle and the interference violet. So let's some sparkle, violet, and bling it interference violet. God, this plastic is driving me crazy. Everything's slipping on it. Sorry, guys. This gold, our interference gold, by the way, is absolutely yummy. I did not realize until I played with it last time, it's actually a floating gold, meaning it sits on the top and floats across the top. Hey, Annette! Annette's here, the lobster lady's here. How's your mouth, sweetheart? She had surgery a little less than a week ago, right? Felt so bad for you, honey. They had to go back in because there was an infection in her mouth. So it wasn't, not her fault. Okay, and then I'm going to do one more with the red, but let's have a little fun with this interference red. I forgot, we also have the red opal. So I'm going to grab some interference red. And then I think I'm actually going to put red opal in it. So 3 of my colors will have the opal. Yeah, I am so glad to see you here, honey. That means you've got to be on the mend because whew, that day, that next day, I said, how's our girl doing? And she said, fine. But then it was 2 days later, she goes, I feel lousy. Well, yeah, you just had major work on your jaw, and there was an infection from the previous surgery, so they had to go back in, you guys. Let's throw lots of love to Annette. We love her. Fantastic supporter of color art. By the way, she teaches, I know she's moving, but when she gets set up again, We need to get her information on where she's teaching. Okay. And I couldn't find, oh, here it is, the Aurora. So this is that red opal color. Again, it looks so weird and gray in the jar, right? But we're gonna add a little pop of that to make this interesting. Sparkle's here. Yep, Annette, Sparkle is here, playing around. All right, let's get these mixed. Certainly been long enough. Judy sent me this little mixing thing I've got to learn how to use. I promised her I'd FaceTime and she could teach me how to do this. Looks like our resin's getting thick, which is kind of perfect for the drops because I need them to be a little bit thicker and sit up on the canvas. So I mix the colors for those. Oops. So we would have some thicker resin here. Let's get all this off in here. Might as well use it up. I don't want to waste any of this stuff. All right, let's get, got to be very careful mixing. Believe me, I want to do this as fast as possible, but if I mix it too quickly, but look at what that opal did to the regular interference. That is really green. That makes a beautiful green. Then the, I end up having to break these sticks in half. Running out of popsicle sticks on my table here. Let's get this angel wings and interference blue mixed. Again, that doesn't look like a typical interference blue. It's got that gray cast. But as soon as it hits another color, it is gorgeous. Okay, it looks like I need a little bit more epoxy in my interference violet cup. I have a tiny bit left in this cup behind me, so it looks like I picked up the right amount. Get that off of there, clean up. Big difference from just having the interference. See how different it is with just the straight interference and what happens when I'm putting the opal color in there? It's like night and day on those colors. And our last little cup of epoxy back here. I think I mixed up the right amount. Just a little bit more epoxy. I might have extra to put in molds, but I'd rather have extra and not enough. I don't want to run out. So here's that interference gold and the diamond, or actually the sparkle gold. I find it interesting to have the shift color and one of the sparkle or the diamonds in it because you've got different refractions, right? And it picks up more light when you've got two different sizes of particulate size in the cup. See, that really looks like a really weird gray red, right? Yeah, I'm using art resin. I am reaching out to Stone Coat and see if they can't get them some samples. I saw RK3, by the way, RK3 did a wonderful video spotlighting the Purely Pigments, their first test with it. Mitch from Stone Coat was there, and they were playing with a new thicker resin, so I really recommend you go check out RK3 channel. She did a great job. She's much more comfortable with epoxy than I am. I know, I'm making fun of myself, but I know myself. I get so nervous. I'm like a little kid when I start to play with epoxy on the board, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. Okay, when you get there yourself. So what we're going to do, Saskia, I'm going to take a page out of your book. She told me to flip my camera completely over and get it right on top of the board. Other than we don't want that shadow. Okay, if we can get this up just a little bit higher. Sorry, you guys. Yeah, you did, Evie. I knew someone mentioned the metallics in the middle of the live. That was you? Yes. I remember that. Oh, come on. My thing's not unscrewing. Come on, guys. Trying to get it to lift up, Saskia. It's not lifting up for some reason. It's staying right at this level, which is going to make it a little bit challenging. But we're going to try. And I'm going to have to stand to do some of this with you guys. Come on. It just needs to go up about an inch. I think it's because I can't feel it with my gloves. All right, well, it's locked in place. We're going to do our best with this right here, best we can. All right, I'm going to try the skim coat that I saw RK3 do. I love that she ran a coat all over the board. This is going to drive me nuts. I can't do this without lifting this thing up. It's all these gloves I've got on. Okay. New idea, grapevine tree. Okay, now I'm going to try I'm going to try making a skim coat out of this. What I watched her do was literally take the entire board and try to make this out at a level you could see, and basically cover the whole board with a skim coat. And for me, I think this is going to help me with my struggle of negative space, because I have this thing about white space driving me crazy. I'm a colorist. I am not necessarily the best at composition. That, to me, I have to learn, right? I'm going to put a little bit more on here, and then we'll warm this up. Yeah, he's right. We're greasing the pan. So we're putting a skim coat on. And then I know I have to hit it with my gun. Good thing is I got these on these legs that I can turn them around and do this. Okay. Sad thing is I have to sit down to get my gun. So you're going to have to bear with me with the old up and down, right? Good thing I took Fairy Art Mother's advice and I put on extra gloves. So she had told me when I first started doing epoxy to wear 3 pairs of gloves on the hand you use the most and 2 pairs of gloves on the hand you use the least. So guess what? I got clean gloves, right? I got my clean gloves. So let's get a little heat on this puppy. Well, that's interesting. See how this heat gun works today. Well, it looks like I resined my gun shut last time. That's not good. I do have a tool here that will help me undo that. It's actually basically a butter knife and something heavy to hit against it, right? Give me a second. I should have tested my gun before we went on live today. Okay, so I got a butter knife. I know you can't see me, and I'm hitting it. There we go. but it still doesn't want to move very easily. Man, it's stiff. Okay, well, we're going to warm this up because we got to warm it up. Get any bubbles off of our skim coat. Yes, you are right. They will blend easier. Now, I see a lot of people use clear, and it's true, clear would work, but then we're back to me having my issue with negative space on the epoxy, and I struggle with that. I'll be honest, it's not an easy thing for me. So let's, these turquoises, I'm gonna start with this. I got this turquoise here. We got two different purples. Okay, just gonna go for it here. I realize this is where I normally get into trouble. That I'm just gonna kind of go with a full-blown vein and kind of just do simple stripes and veins of color. Because we know our resin is now, it's right at that perfect consistency where it's got a little body to it. Other than I'm really struggling. I may end up having to bring out my torch. Now let's get this turquoise color. I must admit, I like it better with that turquoise base. It does make me feel more comfortable. And then we're gonna play with our pinky peach. Again, I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna blend them into each other. This is where I struggle, you know, what to do. I love the idea of that peach next to this, so I'm gonna put that there. And I'm thinking this beautiful brick wine red. I feel like I am, now here I am, I'm at that point where I feel a little lost again. What do I do? Well, watching them do this, when she did that board on RK3, she was just trying to get colors moved together. She wasn't trying to make a pretty picture or anything, right? I don't know how well they're gonna meld together, but I'd be really curious to see what happens when I do this. Again, you guys can all sit and say, no, what is she doing? Well, I'm practicing. I'm kind of doing what a beginner might do if they're feeling a little bit lost about their resin project. These are hair tools, by the way. I know that this peach will go gloriously next to this gorgeous bricky wine red that we made, right? This was not planned, guys. I'm just sort of taking the colors that I mixed today and running it on a board. Now we also have the blue violet, the one that had the interference blue in it. So I'm just gonna go right over here and start this whole section here. I now wish I had a color that I could swipe into that would create some kind of lacing for me, but I don't. Okay. And then we also have the bluer turquoise, the one that I call the blue violet, right? God, I hope I'm not screwing this up. Boy, that's a pretty color. That is gorgeous. How it's gonna work with this, I don't know. Let's add some of this blue over here. You know, after I did my last piece, I really thought about doing a dirty cup and some kind of a, way to create a pattern in the canvas. What I thought about doing was making the base kind of abstract and then doing just a quick ribbon dirty pour over the top, which I'm sure I could. Somebody said something about a bottle or a canvas. What do they mean? I feel like I need something to break this up, like a gold or a, but I've got those opal colors I want to do. So, boy, I wish I had Mandy or Fairy Art Mother here right now. Again, this is where I get into trouble. Look at how pretty that color is right there where I put that blue over the top. Do what you have in the cups with what I have done. Do with what you have left in the cups or what you have done. Okay. Trying to figure out what Catherine's telling me. Still have kind of a bit of this brick color. Create some fun lines. Create some fun pattern lines in here. Because that pretty brick is making a nice veining color, or it's that wine color. It's making a nice veining color. Okay, so I heated it up and it started running, which is not bad. See you later, honey. Somebody's leaving. Yeah. They're watching me struggle here. Erica heats it up and tips it. That's true. She does, but then you can also still keep the heat on while it's tipping. You're right. I'm just not doing well with this real light little plastic I was forced to use. My regular silicone base, that stuff I was using, I couldn't find. Now I have a really dirty one here. You know what? You're gonna think I'm nuts, but I am literally taking this plastic off. Pardon me just for a second. It's sticking to everything. So that super light plastic isn't gonna work. It was a thought. And it's because I'd run out of this stuff that I normally use. But now that I actually have the piece started, I'm just gonna run it right on this silicone plastic. I ran out of this stuff. This is the stuff I'd ordered more of, and it hasn't shown up yet. I thought it was delivered, but it wasn't. So there we go. Now we have something that isn't gonna stick to the board as I move it around. Because yeah, I just ran that heat. Now I think you agree with me. It needs some kind of white, some kind of gold. I do like those colors on the top. Well, I have more of that dark violet here. Someone says I need more dark violet. But I don't know if it's really dark enough for what you're looking for. The colors seemed great, turquoise, you know, wine. But when I saw those turquoises I was making, I was worried they were too dark. And this color here really broke it up. Because I kind of want to put these turquoise veins back in. Because this here will break it up a little bit, having some kind of light in there. Kind of bring it back to the top of what we lost. And then if I have this darker turquoise blue that is really, really gorgeous. Let's run some of that here. And run some of it right here on this edge. Got to get it heated up. I'm not happy with my gun. I'm going to actually, if I can find it. Where did my torch go? I am not having a good day as far as finding my tools to work. This, definitely this heat gun needs a little help. Get that warmed up and see if you can get that to run the other way. Oh, shoot. Gosh, guys, I almost fell over. See if we can't get that to run, because now we have those veins in there. Thank you, Evelyn. You're so sweet. Just kind of this crazy process that, you know, it looks a little busy now to me. I think like these colors need to kind of be melded into one another right down here. And then it kind of looks like it belongs more. I'm melding them in with my spoon. I actually kind of like what happened there on that bottom area. I'm much more comfortable with this, this mat that I'm on. Yeah, it needs something. Well, okay, so those of you who've not seen me do these drops, okay, did I use every one of the colors? I did. The only one I think we could benefit from a little bit more of would be this wine. But everything's going to start getting thick here pretty soon. We only have so much working time. I think that's what drives me nuts, is the working time with epoxy, knowing I only have so much time, where acrylic, it feels like you've got forever, right? And you don't. On epoxy, you just don't. These are all gonna go away. One more time with the gun. Thank God I've got another glove on here because I have to keep switching my gloves off. Can't, I do have that bottle of alcohol on my table, but when your gloves are completely covered and it's finally starting to run down your arm, you kind of need to change things up. And just in case, I'm going to put one more glove on my right-hand side so I can do this. And let's hope my little trick here with the opal drop saves my bacon here on today's piece. I'll give it one more heat because I got a clean glove now. All warmed up. So now it can accept my drops. Okay. Clean gloves, clean drops. Last time you guys saw me do this, I did with the golden maple. And it's much different when you're working with the interferences. So basically what you do is you just start adding these droplets. God, this resin's getting thick, guys. Why does I always run out of time because I talk too long. And you guys can laugh at me now. This is art resin, and we should still have plenty of working time. But it looks like because the stuff is seizing up already, I'm not sure if I'm going to have to put a little clear in these drops to get this to work. Basically what happens if you put clear or an interference drop, it'll start creating these fantastic, it looks like opal drop resin, opal drops in the resin. I didn't mean to put the clear on there, but that gold is so darn strong, it looks like it needed it. Hey, maybe some new technique's going to come out of this with this season up and me having to put the clear on top, because I'm actually I'm loving that effect right there. You guys can't see it. But it's a crazy effect. I'm so sorry, guys. This stuff's getting real thick. I got to work quick, and I don't have a lot of time. I'm going to try to show you what happens if I put a little dollop of the blue. There's a fine line between having it thick enough to sit up and not spread out too much, and so runny, it just runs out like water. So typically it will come off the stick a little bit faster. I just want to see what happens with the blue when I put the clear on top. I know we're not going to be able to use everything I made up, but I'm going to do this as long as I can. I'm going to try to run out the clock. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh God. I wish you could see what I'm seeing. Well, I'm kind of liking this, even though it was an accident. Man, I'm loving, I'll turn it over and get you closer to it, but I'm loving the effect of the clear on top of these. Wow. They look like precious stones of some kind. Now this is that angel wings mixed with the interference. Can you see that? I really can't lift it up, but if you could see that effect just for a second, you see what's happening there? It's nuts. It's just plain nuts. Let me continue on with this blue. As long as it'll let me do this, I will. But we know at any moment the resin's going to say, I'm done. It won't give me any more time. Does she? It would be gorgeous in the pendants. Yeah. See what happens if you're, I don't even care if there's no interference. Just putting a drop of clear resin on an area where it's already got a pattern, it pushes the color kind of down. It creates these craters inside the resin and creates this crazy, crazy texture. I mean, it's just glorious. But the risk is doing it on camera and alive and having it timed just right to where it's thick enough to work. But no, it's not so thick that it doesn't work, right? We're getting nice big honking drops this time around, and they're keeping a nice shape, which is cool. But I'm just going to keep going until my luck runs out here, until it tells me it can't take anymore. I did not save this clear for this reason, but I'm really glad I did. I know this technique here, if incorporated in the right piece, would be stunning. Okay, so I've got some interference violet. Remember, I made 5 colors. The dragon scale look. Yeah, pretty much. All right, so I think I'm going to put the interference on this side. I'll start over here with some interference violet drops. It's just not coming off the stick really fast. Let's put some of this clear on top of these. You know what? I could do an entire canvas in just black and gold, and in the black section do this, and it would be absolutely stunning. People would never know I fumbled around with, you know, how to get the right composition in a resin piece. And my friend that told me that, I mean, she's a sweetheart, but she says, you just don't realize your voice goes up a couple decibels. We can tell that you're nervous. The day before, when you touched up that acrylic piece, I was talking real soft and slow, like almost I was on a golf channel going, over here, we'll put this, and over there, we'll put that. But then the next day I did the video. So today we're going to be playing with resin. She's like, you don't realize you do that with your voice. We can tell you're a little bit questioning your methods of your madness while you're on camera. And I know she said this with all the love in the world. The voice does say it all, Terry. Like I'm like the golf channel where he says, we're on hole 17, and this is a par 3. But last time John was here at the hole, he did it in 2. Okay, so since we have the green and we're gonna try to use it, might as well take a little bit of this green. I'm all in. I'm just gonna keep doing this to the canvas until we run out, because we might as well. We're practicing the idea of the opal drop. I've never actually done them with the opal color in them. I'm really liking how blue that blue is and how pretty this rain turned out. That green rain here color mixed with some of that interference violet. It's beautiful. That green is really interesting. It's kind of a smoky green. Fairy Art Mother, if you're not laughing at me, you should be laughing with me by the time we get to this. She's been so supportive of so many artists in the industry. When you see auctions, she's always there to buy artwork. And I gotta say, whenever you see an artist doing an auction, if you can and the piece excites you, they really do need to sell it. They're not having the auction just for the health of it. And I gotta say, the most supportive people to the YouTube artists is other artists. You know, it's not necessarily some fancy smanchy somebody from a gallery. It's artists supporting artists, doing interesting work, right? We got one more left to go. We still have this red. Yeah, you can, well, here's what I've done. So she's asking about mixing dots. Yes, so in my original one, what I did is I took gold, watch what happens, and then I put blue on top of the gold dots. Now, it's not going to spread out without another little bit of clear. But if you go back and you watch the videos on my channel, there's 2 or 3 videos where I'm doing this. I'm adding 1 drop of interference and then another drop on color. I think it was the one that looks like Hulk's teeth. It's kind of green and black, and I did this technique. And I was using gold, and then I was using violet on top of one another. Here, the clear will help do this for us. And then it spreads out, and it does give you a crazy opal effect, because then you see the color in color, almost like you're creating your own customized crazy cells. So you see that right there? That's going to spread out. It'll keep continuing to spread. Of course, we're going to warm it up, right? So on top of the blue, I can add gold. On top of the gold, I can add blue. Like I promised you, as long as we have time to do this, I'll just keep doing it until the clock runs out. Because this is a crazy, beautiful effect. And if done right, now I saw somebody in the Middle East, they're doing some big classes on Instagram, and they did an entire board with drops, but it looks like they did white on top of black. They didn't actually go all in like I am and doing different colors. But here, I didn't put the clear on top of this one. I don't want to forget this one here where I put the blue on top of the violet. We want to get that violet to spread out here, right? And we'll heat it so it'll spread out a little bit more. Let me get these 2 gold ones with their clear on top. You see what's happening here, though? This is such a fun technique. I'm going to keep doing this until I master it and come up with something that everybody loves, because I know if I keep doing this, we're going to stumble on something really gorgeous. Or at least I will. We will together. We'll stumble on it together as we play together. I'm liking the blue and the gold. And the gold and the blue. And then I'll faithfully get some of my clear in here. I can't let my drops go by the wayside. Anywhere where I put a drop on top, I need to make sure it's set up with another clear to push it in, and it spreads out. Or what if the whole bottom panel was just black, right, black resin, and the top just had this crazy droplet abstract on the top with one single color background and all these drops. I mean, something really elegant. It doesn't have to be quite this busy. We're experimenting with different colors, so this may look a little busy. I'm loving that one. Look what happened to that blue when it kind of went over the side over here. I'm loving that last one over there. So on top of the green, I think I can put some violet. I want something contrasting. I mean, I could put gold, but probably the violet would be more contrasting. Now, I put the blue on top of this violet. I guess I'm going to have to continue with that trend, even though I don't have a lot of blue left. I thought the gold and the violet would look pretty too. It doesn't all have to be the blue and the violet, but when you're doing this, just don't forget to add the clear. If it's thick like this, right? I'm doing this because it's super thick, but it is adding a pretty interesting component. So we're safe. I'm just gonna warm them slightly. I'm gonna keep going. Okay, so in the green ones, I think I'm gonna go with the gold. I know I made the red up, but I think the gold's probably gonna be the more contrasting in the green. Well, maybe not. Let's try. Put a little bit more gold here. I just don't have a lot of blue left. And I got 3 more purple drops to put the blue on top before we run out. And they're not even staying in perfect shapes. They're round shapes. They're kind of finding their home around the other colors that's been poured down here. It's kind of crazy. God, everything's getting sticky. I love resin days to play, but boy, it's a challenge when I get off. I got all this resin over me. I got to strip down and get in the shower right away, man. I feel like I'm covered with this stuff. And I know it's only my hands and any bubbles that maybe popped on my face, but it's still just this thing, you played with sticky stuff. So you kind of want to make sure all the sticky stuff's washed off. Well, washed off well. Okay, we still have some blue dots here. Needs a little gold. Someone's talking to me, but I'm not looking at the thingy right now. You guys, look at the violet and the gold, the different texture in the gold. It's crazy. You're right. The violet and the gold, it is crazy, creating these great textures. Now, I wanted to spray this with alcohol afterwards because I wanted to see the alcohol effect. I don't know if I've got time to do that. I do have a little alcohol to spray because when I saw Rhonda spray with the alcohol, now I know she's working with solvent-based, that stuff that smells like turpentine, and when you spray alcohol on top of that, you get patterns and cells. So I don't know if the same thing's going to happen with what we're doing here, right? There's no guarantee if I do a little alcohol treatment on this. But again, our window's still open. Now, I'll be honest, I've done a 3rd layer on these. I used to do gold, blue, and violet on top of one another. And if we've got time, because I didn't even think we had 5 minutes when I started this thing, this portion of our broadcast, if we'd even get as far as we are. But it looks like we are. We're getting there. It's letting me do this. So the resin gods or epoxy gods are with me today for some reason. Yeah, because I'm going to prove your point right here, John, in a second. Give me a minute. Let me get a little bit of warmth on that. Just, we'll heat it up just a second again. Okay, so a cool effect we're going to do right now. Come on, get off. My gun won't even turn off. It's sticking. If you could see the mess I have here. Okay, so what'll be interesting is we're going to put some violet on top of the areas that had blue and gold, because violet and gold are complements, right? So let's put some purple on there. And the same thing, we're going to add a little gold on top of these ones that are violet and blue. Let's see what happens. Can I get a third layer? Can I get a witness to the third layer going down? Can I get a witness? I'm trying to remember that song, that old rock song. Can I get a witness? Anybody name that tune for me? I'll be appreciative. But I want you to see, John, what it looks like when we're putting blue, then gold, then violet on top of one another. And putting that clear in between really helps it spread out. So here we've done the violet and the blue and the gold. And the other one, I did the blue, the gold, the blue on the bottom, the gold, and then the violet on top. Let's see, you guys are you're out of focus here a little bit. Okay, I told you I'd push this as far as it would let me go. We're at 117 minutes, and Eve's sending me little messages of emojis like gritting their teeth. Are we going to get there? We might. We might. Because it'd be nice to do a triple layer on a couple of them. Like this is really interesting to me. And I'm going to do a couple more with the violet on top, even though I think the blue and the gold is also pretty. But an occasional, like this one has blue and gold right next to one another. So putting a little violet on top will make this little pile kind of different, right? Looks different. Special. We want it to look special. Put it one here. I'm going to put a little bit of the violet here. Thank you, Salted. I know. Go, go, go. Everybody's watching me fight the clock here in this epoxy. But you get my point of laying down the droplets, letting it create crazy, cool, fun textures in your resin. And then if you can go another layer on top and build on these. I got to put some clear on this one. And I need some clear on this one. I wonder if Fairy Art Mother's still watching. She probably is, maybe even with the sound on. Sound off, I mean. So it doesn't want to get off the popsicle stick. I know, we're hitting the wall. I know. But I figured as long as I can. Okay, now this one needs a little gold. I can see some areas here. It's all popping up to me. The one with the violet and the blue here at the top needs a drop of gold. Yeah, it doesn't want to come off. Kind of thick. Anybody who's a professional resin artist coming by and watching this is go, what is this woman doing? Oh my God, she's a total nut job. What is she doing? Well, we're having fun. Why not? I mean, it is my epoxy. I get to waste it how I want, if you call this a waste. Now, in hindsight, I kind of wish this whole thing was one solid, beautiful black color. Yeah, well, that's the thing about resin. It's self-leveling. And then guaranteeing it's going to spread out with a little bit of something, something. I put that clear on top. We know we backed it out because the regular resin, see how this gold here is trying to come into a specific shape? But if I put the clear on top, it's going to spread it out. As long as it'll come off the stick. Come on, baby. Mama needs a new pair of shoes. Get off that stick. Put some here. And I think I need some right here. And we might have hit our wall on what we can do. In hindsight, I could have done this technique on just a dark blue or dark black background, and it would have been beautiful. This is okay, but this is kind of busy. This part bothers me. Oh, congratulations, Miss Terry just got her gift club membership. Congratulations for becoming a founding member of the Arte of Club membership. Now, we'll be giving you guys information soon on how to join the private Facebook group and then the public one, because we want to make sure we're available to everybody that uses color art. And then that private one is so we can kind of have some private Q&A, some private teaching going on, just extra perks for our founding members. All right, so I think I've hit my wall. My hands are super sticky. I'm going to get these gloves off with clean hands so I can move that camera around and see if I can't get an overhead shot for you guys. All right, because John was talking about what's happening here. So let's get a straight overhead shot, other than it's going to try to put the camera in there. So you see how we've got, this is blue, violet, blue, and gold. This one's also violet, blue, and gold. This is the green and the gold. This was the gold, blue, and violet. They're kind of big, but I think this technique could fit in lots of different ideas. Like I said, this is too busy. If I had my way, I'd make that all black or white, right? Yeah, she actually owns all my primary elements. She's been collecting all 314 colors for a very long time. And here's the top part. This little one went over the edge. These are kind of interesting. I like this one. This one right here has the gold, got a little bit of blue, got a little bit of violet. It's crazy how they're all changing in the texture. Part of that is putting the clear on top. That's why you're getting that cool texturing on top. It's the clear. Now, alcohol, I don't know. I don't want to mess with my droplets, but I am curious about the alcohol. And I watched our K3 do this when her resin was as thick as mine. So over here, just here, is alcohol going to do anything to that? I don't know. We'll see. I just put a spritz of alcohol here to see if we get any effect. So you're telling me to swirl some of them? Like do the swirly thing? I just put some right here, not on the droplets. She wants me to swirl these, and I don't know if by doing that, it's a little bit thick, honey, but an interesting idea because you can get a swirl. You can get a swirl. So, this one I was managed to swirl a little bit. But because it's so seized up, I don't know if I want to take the risk on any more of them, but had maybe we swirled these a few seconds earlier or maybe a minute or two earlier. Yeah, and I didn't get any effect over here. The alcohol didn't do anything. So I think the alcohol for them, you have to get to the resin master to separate. What are you saying, sweetheart? I'm trying to read what you said. Here, let me sit down. because I think we've kind of hit the end of our clock here. Primary element, Sharon. So let's see what you just said. Terry says, no, you have to get the resin master. Yeah, the master sets are broken up. You guys are talking about the master sets. So the master sets are, there's a primary element master set, all 314 colors. There's the resin art set. Now I broke them up to where the tints are in one group because not everybody's going to use the tints, but the Galaxy Diamond and the regular resin art with the ultra fine mica in it, they're in the master set. You've got a Prism Pour master set and you've got a Vivid Intense master set. Well, okay, who asked about the resin? Okay, Evelyn, here's how it works. Primary elements are not designed to mix right into a resin. As a matter of fact, when RK3 did that on her video, I was going, no! They didn't see in my paperwork to pre-mix that chrysocolla in the Vivid Intense first. So how it works is you want 2 parts primary elements, 1 part of your Vivid Art fluid, and just break all that color down into a creamy paste. Our reds take a while to break down because there's a lot of color in them. So you break it down into a creamy paste, then put your resin in. And I actually like both because the primary elements are going to be more opaque in resin where they're transparent in acrylic. And the resin art is very transparent in the resin. So you get a lot more opacity with still a little bit of shimmer. And you're going to get an awful lot of transparency with the resin art colors. So anyway, final thing, thank you guys for joining the Art of Color Club and helping us with our membership drive. We really appreciate you. We're real close. I mean, I looked at it this morning. I think we're like 14,000 in sales away to hit the goal. We are so close. I mean, we're talking about a week and a half maybe. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you guys. Hugs and kisses. See you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.